Morning all, and the Kingston Frontenacs lost Dougie Gilmore. Dougie Gilmore has now been uh, brought into the Maple Leafs fold. He's going to be a community representative. I, they can use that, honestly. Toronto needs some help with some messaging and getting that positive outlook out there. Because honestly, it's a lot of negativity out there right now. So bringing in Doug Gilmore makes a lot of sense. Gilmore, Wendell Clark, these are guys who inspire pretty good feelings for Leaf fans. So we'll see how visible he is as a community representative. Nolan Patrick, not great news on Nolan Patrick. There's been no improvement with his migraine disorder, and we are now looking at the possibility he could miss the whole season. Because when Chuck Fletcher was asked, is he going to come back, his answer was basically, maybe. We don't know. There's been no change. So no improvement means we just don't know. And with migraine problems, it is pretty darn impossible to predict what's going to happen. So here's fingers crossed for Nolan Patrick. People are going to say bust this and bust that. The fact is, you're not a bust if you have a health problem. That doesn't equal a bust. But it does mean that Philadelphia needs to look around and see what else they can do. Because if Patrick's not going to come back, they could use another forward. Now, whether it's somebody coming in and filling the void, or whether they have to make a trade for somebody, I'll leave that up to the GM to decide. But the Flyers do need something if Patrick's not going to come back. So the question's being asked, I'm going to propose this to you guys. So the Svechnikov goal for Carolina the other night, that was pretty good. Tkachuk's goal last night for the Flames between the legs, what's he doing? Which one's the better goal? I'll go with the Tkachuk goal. Because I'm not sure that's one that you stand around and practice and attempt 15, 16 times. I had the feeling with Svechnikov's like, this is something he's done in practice. This is something he's been doing since he's a kid, and I can do that. And of course, Nils Hoglander had a goal like that as well in the Swedish League the other night. Pretty sure it was Swedish League. And so there's an honorable mention for that. We're talking the best NHL goal of the week. I thought Svechnikov for sure would be like goal of the year candidate, but Tkachuk's was pretty amazing as well. We have some pretty talented players in the National Hockey League right now who are capable of puck control at a level that I think would wow veterans who haven't played the game in a while. We'll see just how far that can go. The October 3 stars, according to the National Hockey League: John Carlson, star number 1, David Pastrnak, number 2, and Leon Draisaitl, star number 3. So not Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl. Draisaitl scored more goals. I have no argument with this at all. He's been pretty darn fantastic. And then the question that gets asked is, how far can they go with Draisaitl and McDavid? And my answer is, farther than a lot of people seem to think they can, because they've done it before. A couple years ago when they were in the playoffs, a lot of that had to do with McDavid and Draisaitl. So we'll see if that happens again this year. Rangers, these guys here. Tuomo Ruutu has been working with Kaapo Kakko. It turns out that when you're a teenager, being in a brand new environment where you may not know the language 100% well and it's a totally different culture, it might be a bit of a culture shock. Who knew? I don't think that in this day and age, sometimes I think that the players are physically ready for the NHL, and I don't know that they're necessarily ready for everything else that goes with it. So we look at some of these teenagers that come in and maybe they struggle, like Kakko has early with the Rangers, and we forget there's a lot of things off the ice that could be affecting them as well. And it's easy to say, well, once the puck drops, you just do your job, but that other stuff can definitely get involved as well. So props to Tuomo Ruutu for this. He had been scouting over in Europe. They brought him back and said, hey, we need you to work with this kid. Per Rick Dollywall, and this has been confirmed since he said it, Sven Berchi's been called up by the Canucks. He will be playing in place of Ferland, who's on the IR right now. Sven could play tonight. Apparently there's a flight delay. East Coast, there's some nasty weather, so I wouldn't be surprised by a flight delay. He may or may not play tonight. He will play tomorrow night in all likelihood, but tonight they may have to just go with what they have. I hope Berchi has a good run. I would love to see Berchi come in, play really, really well, and give Jim Benning a really difficult decision to make about what he's going to do. I think all Canuck fans are pulling for Sven in this one, and I am definitely one of them. I understood him being waived. I understood him going to the American League and playing for Utica, but it would be really nice to see him back with the team and play well. News yesterday. I didn't do a video specifically on it because it was announced during the Nashville game, and I didn't think it warranted having its own video, so it's in here. Austin Watson signed a 3-year, $4.5 million contract. That's not $4.5 million a year, it's a $4.5 in total. So $1.5 million a year. Decent for a guy who got 4 points last night, right? So when you're looking at Nashville, there's a fascinating thing that's gone on with getting Yossi and Watson signed. They have $69.5 million now that's spoken for by players who are coming back next year. They're expiring contracts. Mikael Granlund, who I don't know if he's going to come back or not, and I don't know that there's going to be a great desire to keep him around. His numbers haven't been there. Craig Smith, who I think they'll probably keep. I don't think they'll have to pay as much to keep him as they've been paying him to this stage. Rocco Grimaldi, who may very well be a good signing to keep around. Salamaki, no idea what they'll do there. Ham Hughes, I get the feeling this may very well be his last year. Yannick Weber and Matt Irwin. And the interesting thing is, under the current salary cap, that would leave them with about $11.5 million in cap space. Nashville may have cap space next summer, depending on what the cap does, that they could bring somebody else in. So as good as they look right now, they could look even better next year. So for Nashville, this is why David Poile is seen as the best general manager in the NHL by a lot of people. He's a wizard when it comes to the cap, to figuring everybody out, to giving out contracts. And yeah, it's a rich contract he gave Yossi. It's a gamble. And so far, Yossi's been their number one scorer this year. So it's a gamble based on what's happening right now. And he's done a good job for Nashville for decades. So it's impressive to see that we already don't really have to worry about next year for Nashville. That's why I put up here who's expiring this summer and how much money they've spent. Because I think it's amazing. This team is really good. They could be one of the best teams in the West. And next year, they could be as well. The big question mark with them is going to be Rene's contract ends next year, as does Saros. What ends up happening with the goaltending after next year, and at what point do you start handing over the reins to Saros? It's a nice problem to have, though, isn't it? Last note of the day, Ville Heinola has been demoted to the American Hockey League by the Winnipeg Jets. And we kind of saw this coming when he was a healthy scratch. You've got to play. And so he's going to get a chance to play in the AHL. Who knows how long he'll be down there. But some interesting stuff going on. Again, all the best to Sven. Hopefully he does well. And I hope that Kakko is able to pick it up. I think the battle between Kaapo Kakko and Jack Hughes has been almost a wash. And yet recent play would tell you Jack Hughes has been the better player. So it hasn't quite been the fight that we had expected. But it's not over yet. It's the 1st of November today. Brand new month. Could be some brand new results. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I'll talk to you again soon.